Let me tell you something powerful. Your belly fat is not just about how much you eat, it's about what your body lacks. Every day, people blame their metabolism. They blame genetics. But the truth is, your body can be rewired, yes, rewired, to burn fat, stay sharp, and perform at its best. And it starts with just 3 key vitamins. You don't need a miracle. You need the science. Most people don't realize this, but when we talk about burning fat, especially that stubborn belly fat, we often overlook one of the most powerful regulators of metabolism, sunlight, or more specifically, what sunlight triggers in the body, which is the production of a hormone that acts like a vitamin. Vitamin D3. This isn't just some wellness trend. This is about understanding how your body actually works. Vitamin D3 plays a critical role in regulating fat storage, energy use, and even your mood and focus. And here's the thing most people don't know. Low levels of D3 are directly linked to higher levels of abdominal fat. And it's not just observational. The data shows that people who are deficient in D3 tend to store more fat in their midsection regardless of how much they exercise. Now, let's take a step back and look at why that happens. Your body is wired for survival. When it senses a deficiency, in this case, a hormonal deficiency like low vitamin D3, it goes into conservation mode. That means it starts holding on to energy, storing it as fat, especially around the organs, which is precisely what belly fat is. This kind of fat, visceral fat, is biologically active and can throw off your hormone balance even further. It's a vicious cycle. So what flips that switch? What signals to the body that it's safe to start using stored energy again? That's where D3 comes in. Vitamin D3 isn't just about strong bones, metabolic switch. When D3 levels are optimized, your body receives a signal energy is available, the system is nourished, and fat storage is no longer a priority. Your body begins to shift gears, mobilizing stored fat, increasing insulin sensitivity, and rebalancing testosterone and estrogen levels. This isn't just happening in the background. It affects your motivation, your clarity, your willpower to move, to exercise, to eat better. Let's talk about testosterone for a moment, especially in the context of belly fat. In men and women, but especially men, lower vitamin D levels correlate with lower testosterone, and low testosterone makes it much harder to burn fat, especially visceral fat. What's more, belly fat itself lowers testosterone. Again, another loop. So here's the leverage point to increasing D3 helps regulate testosterone naturally. It improves your metabolic efficiency, meaning you use what you eat for energy instead of storing it. And it doesn't take months. Some studies have shown that with daily supplementation, testosterone levels can begin to rise within a couple of weeks. 10 days even. And how do you do it? The best way is the most natural way, sunlight. Morning sunlight specifically. When you expose your skin and eyes indirectly to sunlight first thing in the morning, you trigger a cascade of biological processes that start with the skin converting UV rays into pre-vitamin D3, which then goes to the liver, then the kidneys, and finally into active D3. That signal, the D3 production, is your body's daily reset. It tells your circadian system that it's daytime. It aligns your hormones. It starts the fat burning engine. Now, if you're in a place where sunlight isn't available or you can't get outdoors first thing in the morning, then supplementing is a very effective alternative. A dose of around 4,000 to 1,000 IU of D3 with K2 taken with a meal that has some fat in it will help the body absorb it more effectively. K2 helps D3 move calcium to the right places and avoids arterial buildup. But here's the nuance. Vitamin D3 works in harmony with movement, nutrition, and rest. You can't just pop a pill and expect results. You need to create the right internal environment. And getting D3 in the morning is important not just for metabolic benefits. It also reinforces your circadian rhythm, meaning you sleep better at night. Better sleep leads to better cortisol regulation. And cortisol, when chronically elevated, tells your body to store fat, especially around the midsection. You might think you're doing everything, right? Cutting calories, hitting the gym. But if your D3 levels are low, your body's not even responding efficiently. You're in second gear, burning out, not burning fat. That's why this vitamin is the first fix. It lays the foundation. And one more thing, 3D3 affects mood. And mood influences behavior. Low vitamin D levels are linked to depression and low motivation. So when you're low on D3, not only are your hormones off, not only are you storing more fat, but you also feel less drive to do anything about it. That creates an emotional and physiological trap. You're tired, sluggish, maybe even sad, and that's when cravings hit. Sugar, processed carbs, comfort food, all of which spike insulin, store fat, and make everything worse. Optimizing D3 is like pulling the emergency brake on that whole downward spiral. When you increase your levels through sunlight or supplementation, you notice the difference. Not just physically, but mentally. You wake up with energy. You start moving more without forcing it. You feel more alert, more focused. These aren't abstract benefits. They're biological and then accumulate. Even in 10 days, the shift can be felt. That bloat, that doesn't go away. It starts to fade. The afternoon crash. It's less intense. Your waistline, you begin to notice the taper because the body is finally getting what it needs to function as it was designed to. So don't underestimate what seems like a small change. Vitamin D3 might not look like a miracle on a label, but inside your body, it is a powerful messenger. One that resets the system, turns on the machinery, and signals to your biology it's time to burn, not store. Start your day right. Feed your system the signal it's been waiting for. Give your body the light it's missing. It's not magic. It's just science working in your favor. Most people think that burning fat is all about cutting calories or doing endless cardio. But what if I told you that the real issue, especially when it comes to stubborn belly fat, starts deep inside your cells where energy is produced? The reality is many people struggling to lose fat aren't lazy or overeating. They're just low on one of the most important nutrients responsible for turning food into fuel. That nutrient is vitamin B12. B12 is often overlooked in the fat loss conversation. But it shouldn't be, because it plays a critical role in your body's ability to convert nutrients into usable energy. Without enough of it, your body slows down, your metabolism lags, and instead of burning calories efficiently, your system gets sluggish. That's when fat starts to accumulate, especially in the abdominal region. So let's break this down. Inside your cells are tiny engines called mitochondria. Think of them like power plants. Their job is to take the food you eat, especially carbs and fats, and turn that into ATP, which is the usable energy your body and brain rely on. B12 is one of the key cofactors required in that process. It helps metabolize everything you eat. When B12 is low, that entire energy conversion system becomes less effective. Instead of burning calories, your body starts storing them, often as visceral fat. This isn't just a surface level energy problem. It's a cellular one. This is why people with low B12 often feel tired, sluggish, foggy-headed. But that fatigue has consequences that go far beyond feeling sleepy. It affects motivation. It affects discipline. When you're low on energy, your body craves quick fixes of sugar, refined carbs, processed food, and those foods spike insulin and promote fat storage, especially in the belly. So now you're caught in a trap: low energy, high cravings, poor food choices, more fat gain, all starting from a simple vitamin deficiency. Now let's take a closer look at what happens hormonally. When you're deficient in B12, your adrenal system starts compensating. Your body perceives fatigue as a form of stress, which raises cortisol levels. And as we know, chronically elevated cortisol stores fat, particularly around your waist. And the more tired and stressed you feel, the less likely you are to move, to train, to make clean eating decisions. That's not a motivation issue, that's biology. So if you're waking up already feeling drained, dragging through your day, and finding it harder and harder to stay disciplined, it may not be your willpower. It may just be a lack of fuel at the cellular level. Now, here's what's interesting. Fixing a B12 deficiency doesn't take long. Within just a few days of proper intake, people often report noticeable improvements in energy, focus, and even digestion. Why digestion? Because B12 is involved in the production of red blood cells and in nerve function. That includes the nerves that regulate your gut. A well-functioning gut means better nutrient absorption, reduced bloating, and more efficient elimination, all of which are critical to reducing inflammation and flattening the midsection. Let's also talk about the brain for a second. B12 is essential for maintaining the myelin sheath, the protective layer around your nerves that helps electrical signals travel efficiently through the body. When B12 is low, neural signaling slows down. You might notice poor focus, slower reaction time, even mood swings or depression. And those mental shifts matter because your mindset directly affects your habits. If you're foggy, fatigued, and low in mood, you're far more likely to skip workouts, snack mindlessly, or quit on a fat loss plan halfway through. But when B12 levels are optimal, the opposite happens. Your mental clarity returns. You feel sharper, more alert. You start to feel like you're in control again. And when your brain is switched on, your body starts to follow. You move more. You make better choices. You follow through. And this has a compounding effect because the more active you are, the better your insulin sensitivity, the more calories you burn at rest, and the easier it becomes to reduce that stubborn belly fat. So how do you ensure you're getting enough B12? For many people, dietary sources may not be enough, especially if you're plant-based over 40 or dealing with any gut absorption issues. B12 is found primarily in animal products like eggs, beef, liver, fish, and dairy. If you're not getting these consistently, supplementation may be necessary. A methylated B12 supplement, ideally as part of a B complex or taken sublingually, can be a powerful tool. It bypasses the gut and is absorbed directly into the bloodstream, where it can start supporting energy production almost immediately. Now, one more thing that's incredibly important: timing and consistency. B12 should ideally be taken earlier in day Y because it boosts energy. If you take it too late, you might disrupt your sleep cycle. And sleep, as we'll talk about more later, is one of the most underestimated tools in fat loss. So when you start your morning with BO12, whether through food or supplementation, you're priming your system to be more efficient, more energetic, and more resistant to those midday energy crashes that lead to poor eating decisions. I want to bring your attention back to something crucial. This isn't about adding random vitamins to your routine. This is about identifying the leverage points in your biology that allow you to create real, measurable change in a short amount of time. When you support your cells with the nutrients they need, especially something as foundational as B12, you start to work with your body, not against it. That shift is what unlocks consistency. When your body feels better, you naturally make better choices. You're not forcing discipline. You're building momentum. That's what creates visible fat loss. That's what shrinks the waistline. That's what restores energy and confidence and strength, sometimes within just 10 days. You don't need to suffer through long workouts on an empty tank. You need to refill the tank. You need to empower your cells with the fuel they've been missing. And that's what vitamin B12 does. Quietly, powerfully, scientifically. It turns your food into energy, your cravings into control, and your fatigue into fire. Now, let's get into something most people never associate with fat loss, but it's one of the biggest obstacles in your way. It's stress, and not just the kind of stress you feel in your mind. I'm talking about what stress does to your biology, how it shifts your hormones, your cravings, your sleep, your fat storage, especially around your waistline. There's one mineral often forgotten that directly helps neutralize the effects of stress in the body. That mineral is magnesium. Magnesium is not just about calming the mind. It plays a critical role in over 300 enzymatic reactions in the body, many of which have everything to do with how you process nutrients, balance hormones, regulate blood sugar, and even burn fat while you sleep. When you're low in magnesium, and most people are, you don't just feel anxious or restless. You feel wired and tired at the same time. You feel cravings you can't explain. You feel emotionally reactive, physically bloated, mentally foggy. And yes, your body starts storing fat in exactly the place you don't want it, the belly. Let's go a little deeper into why this happens. When you're under any kind of stress, whether it's from work, sleep deprivation, poor diet, emotional tension, even intense exercise, your adrenal glands release a hormone called cortisol. Cortisol isn't inherently bad. It actually helps your body respond to stress and stay alert. The problem is when cortisol stays elevated over time. When that happens, your body receives a message egg: store energy, hold on to fat, preserve resources. It does this by increasing appetite, spiking blood sugar, and promoting fat storage, especially around the abdominal region where there are more cortisol receptors. Now, when magnesium is available in optimal levels, it acts like a natural buffer. It helps reduce the sensitivity of your nervous system to stress. It supports the parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest mode, rather than leaving you stuck in the sympathetic fight or flight state. That transition is critical because you don't burn fat when your body thinks it's under attack. You burn fat when your body feels safe, calm, and balanced. And here's something not many people realize: magnesium is also essential for sleep. Deep, quality, uninterrupted sleep is one of the most powerful fat-burning tools available. When you sleep, your body shifts into repair mode. Growth hormone increases, insulin sensitivity improves. Appetite-regulating hormones like leptin and ghrelin are balanced. But when magnesium is low, you don't get the depth of sleep required for those benefits to happen. You toss, turn, wake up groggy, and your body misses that critical window for metabolic repair. You wake up feeling depleted, your cortisol spikes early, and cravings hit by mid-morning. The spiral begins all over again. So let's tie this together. Imagine you're doing everything right, eating well, moving regularly, but you're not sleeping deeply. You're waking up tired, running on coffee and adrenaline, and by the time afternoon hits, your brain starts demanding sugar. That craving is not a character flaw. It's chemistry, and a lot of it stems from one simple: deficient magnesium. Now think about this. How many people are magnesium deficient right now? A lot. Because our soil is depleted. Our diets are processed, and we live in an overstimulated, chronically stressed world. Even people who train hard or take caffeine regularly, both of which deplete magnesium faster, are often unknowingly compounding the problem. So what happens? The stress builds up, the sleep breaks down, the belly fat clings on, and the person blames their willpower. But this isn't about willpower. It's about minerals. It's about restoring the balance your body was designed to maintain when it has the right inputs. And here's what's really incredible. Correcting magnesium levels doesn't take months. It doesn't require extreme measures. When you take a bioavailable form of magnesium, like magnesium glycinate, your body absorbs it efficiently. Within just a few nights of supplementation, many people report better sleep, less anxiety, and fewer cravings. That's not a placebo. That's neurochemistry starting to recalibrate. There's also a stabilizing effect on blood sugar. When magnesium levels rise, insulin sensitivity improves. That means the carbs you eat are more likely to be used for energy rather than stored as fat. That also means fewer energy crashes, less snacking, more steady output throughout the day. The result is a metabolic environment that favors fat burning, especially the slow, sustained type that targets stored fat around the waist. So what does this look like in practice? Start with 300 to 400 mg of magnesium glycinate in the evening, preferably about 22 hours before bed. This timing helps relax the nervous system, signal the body it's time to wind down, and improves the quality of sleep. Over time, you might even notice reduced muscle soreness from training, better recovery, and improved mood throughout the day. And while you're sleeping better, your body is doing what it was built to do. repair, rebalance, and burn. The key here is consistency. One night of good sleep won't change everything, but 10 nights, that's where transformation begins. 10 nights of real sleep, steady cortisol, balanced blood sugar, and reduced cravings. That's when fat starts to come off the waistline without forcing it. That's when you start waking up feeling lighter, not just in your body, but in your brain. And here's something else that matters when you're magnesium sufficient. Your response to stress changes. You stop reacting impulsively. You gain emotional control. You feel more focused, grounded. That shift doesn't just help you in your fat loss goals. It helps you in every area of life. You become more patient, more centered, more capable of staying on track when life throws distractions or discomfort your way. This is why I say magnesium isn't just a supplement. It's a reset button for your nervous system. So if you've been doing all the right things and still not seeing results, ask yourself this: am I sleeping deeply? Am I managing stress? Am I giving my body the tools it needs to relax, recover, and release stored energy? The answer may not be more intensity. It may not be another workout or a stricter diet. It may be as simple as restoring one missing mineral that makes of your system work the way it's meant to. Because when magnesium levels are right, stress loses its grip. Cravings quiet down, sleep improves, fat begins to melt away. Not because you punished your body, but because you supported it. Sometimes the most powerful fix isn't something extreme. Sometimes it's a quiet correction, one that works while you sleep. So now that we've gone through the 3 key vitamins, D3, B12, and magnesium, and we understand exactly how they support the nervous system, regulate metabolism, and allow the body to shift from storing to burning fat, it's time to talk about what ties it all together. Because no vitamin, no supplement, no strategy works in isolation. The body is an interconnected system. And if we really want to make a measurable change, especially in something as stubborn and emotionally frustrating as belly fat, we have to approach it from a systems level perspective. That's where the protocol comes in. This isn't about everything perfectly. It's about doing the right things consistently. Small science-backed shifts that tell the body it's time to reset. And the first piece of that shift starts in the morning. When you wake up, your body is looking for input. Light, movement, hydration. These are the signals that calibrate your circadian clock, set your cortisol rhythm, and activate your metabolism. The very first thing I recommend is getting outside, even for just 5 to 10 minutes, and exposing your eyes and skin to natural light. That early light sets the tone for the day. It boosts wakefulness hormones, it tells your body it's daytime, and it prepares you for better sleep later that night. Without that light cue, your body stays in a confused state. Cortisol remains high when it shouldn't. Melatonin doesn't release properly later. You end up feeling groggy in the morning and wired at night. That's a fat storage rhythm. We want to flip that to a fat burning rhythm. Right after that light exposure, hydrate. Water matters. Most people wake up mildly dehydrated, and that dehydration alone can reduce metabolic efficiency. A glass or 2 of water first thing in the morning reactivates digestion, supports cellular detoxification, and reduces unnecessary cravings that are often confused with hunger. If you want to take that a step further, add a pinch of natural sea salt or a trace mineral supplement to that water. That helps with electrolyte balance and prepares your body for better nutrient absorption throughout the day. Now, here's where the vitamins enter the picture. This is not random timing, it's strategic. Taking your D3 and B12 supplements earlier in the day with a small amount of fat-containing food maximizes absorption. D3 is fat-soluble. B12 works best when taken with food that helps activate stomach acid. That timing also aligns with the natural spike in cortisol that should happen in the morning, giving your body the signal that energy and nutrients are available. That morning stack, light, water, D3, and B21, is one of the simplest and most effective fat-burning activators you can use. It primes your nervous system, supports energy metabolism, and gets you moving with more clarity and intention. Speaking of movement, you don't need to hit the gym for 2 hours. You don't even need to lift weights or run unless you want to. What matters more, especially in the first 10 days, is consistency of low-level activity. A daily walk, particularly after meals, is one of the most underrated fat loss tools in existence. It reduces blood sugar spikes, improves insulin sensitivity, and supports digestion. Just 20 to 30 minutes a day is enough to shift your metabolism in the right direction. If you can walk outside, even better. You're stacking light exposure with movement, both of which tell your biology that you're in control, not under threat. Now we transition into the evening. This is where most people undo all their progress. By overstimulating the nervous system at night and disrupting the most important repair process the body has, sleep. So here's the shift. 2 hours before bed, begin to power down. That means reducing exposure to artificial light, especially blue light from screens. Dim the environment, slow the pace of activity. Let your system know the day is ending. This is also the time to take your magnesium. Magnesium glycinate specifically because of its calming effect on the brain and body. Taken at night, it helps reduce cortisol, ease muscle tension, and promote deeper, more restorative sleep. And that's where the real fat burning happens. Not during the day when you're rushing around, but at night while you sleep. That's when hormones like growth hormone and melatonin go to work repairing tissue, mobilizing fat, and resetting the system for the next day. Let's talk about sleep quality for a moment. It's not just about the number of hours, it's about how you sleep. Deep sleep is when most of the body's fat regulating processes occur. But if your sleep is fragmented, if you're tossing and turning, if you're waking up at 2 or 3 a.m. thinking about tomorrow, your nervous system hasn't fully shifted into rest mode. That means recovery is incomplete. Cortisol rises again prematurely, and the cycle continues. So in this protocol, sleep is sacred. Protect it like you would your training or your diet, because without it, your body simply won't respond the way you want it to. One more critical piece, the foods you choose. I'm not going to tell you to count every calorie or follow a strict diet. What I will say is this: start by removing the foods that confuse your hunger signals and spike your insulin unnecessarily. Processed carbs, refined sugars, and artificial additives aren't just empty. They're disruptive. They increase cravings, alter your gut microbiome, and push you into cycles of binge and crash. The goal is to create meals that stabilize your blood sugar, provide real nourishment, and keep you satisfied. Prioritize protein, healthy fats, and fiber. Keep meals simple, colorful, and whole. You don't need perfection. You need direction. And every clean decision you make is a signal to your biology: we're done storing, we're ready to burn. In 10 days, here's what starts to shift. Your belly feels less bloated, not because you've lost all the fat, but because inflammation is coming down. Your cravings start to fade, not because of willpower, but because your blood sugar is stable. You begin waking up earlier, clearer, and more energetic. Not because you force yourself, as your circadian rhythm is realigning, your waistline begins to change, not drastically yet, but enough that your clothes fit differently. You start walking with a little more confidence, a little more ease. That's your biology responding. That's the compounding effect of stacking small, intelligent habits. And here's what matters most: this protocol isn't about discipline. It's about alignment. Aligning your habits with your biology, giving your body the cues it needs to return to balance. Because fat loss isn't just about subtracting calories. It's about removing the chaos from your system, clearing out the noise so your metabolism can do its job. The vitamins we covered, D3, B12, and magnesium, are the starting points. They correct deficiencies that keep your body locked in a stressed, tired, fat-storing state. But the protocol, the morning light, the hydration, the movement, the timing, the sleep, that's how you give those nutrients a chance to work. That's how you create the internal conditions for fat to be released, for energy to rise, and for your confidence to come back. You don't need more hustle. You don't need more intensity. You need clarity, consistency, and the courage to believe that change begins with something as simple as giving your body what it's been missing. This is how fat loss begins. Not with punishment, but with precision. So here's the truth. Your body isn't broken. It's simply been waiting for the right signals. When you correct key deficiencies, align your daily habits with your biology, and give your system the chance to recover, you unlock a version of yourself that's been buried under stress, fatigue, and imbalance. In just 10 days, small, deliberate changes can create momentum. And once momentum starts, transformation follows. You don't need to fight your body to lose belly fat. You need to work with it. Feed it what it needs. Move it with purpose. Rest it with care. And the results will take care of themselves.